There was some speculation that William Castle might have been involved someone in this gimmick horror movie, but this was influential for a lot of years because of use of subliminal texture in it. Now, called Terror to Haunted House or My World Dies Screaming is a 1958 American horror film produced by William S. Edwards and directed by Harold Daniels. The movie stars Gerald Moore, Kathy O'Donnell, and William Ching. Its plot follows newlywed Sheila, who moves with her husband Philip into a rural Florida mansion where she is horrified to discover was the subject of a recurring nightmare for which she sought psychiatric care in Switzerland. The house is the key to events that have haunted her husband's family for a generation, and Philip's intent is to use her mind to unlock the mystery. The film is notable for being one of only two movies shot in Psychorama, a stylistic gimmick which incorporated subliminal imaging on screen. Psychorama, also known as the Precon process, is an example of pure hype and huckterism, which was a component of the effort to cash in a mid-1950s controversy over subliminal advertising, or what as we call shock horror. After living in Switzerland for 17 years, Sheila marries Philip Justin and begins having nightmares about an mansion owned by the Tierneys, a family she does not know. Now, back in the States, after driving up to her destination in Florida, she is horrified to see the nightmare mansion. Philip insists that her nightmare will end if they stay there. Caretaker John Snell tells Sheila that the house was abandoned 7 years earlier and has been waiting ever since for the mad Tierneys to come home. Now, Sheila begs Philip to take her away. He reluctantly agrees to leave, but the car will not start. Wow, what a surprise. Apparently, someone has damaged the engine, forcing him to spend the night in the mansion. Now, despite believing that she'd never been there before, Sheila has vague memories of, as a little girl, falling in love with a boy who carved their initials on a tree trunk. Jonah denies the tree's existence. That night, Sheila is awakened by screams, then sees a figure peering through her window. She tells Philip what happened, and he sides with Jonah, trying to scare them away. Come morning, Sheila finds the tree marked SW plus PT. SW are her old initials, Sheila Wayne, as Wayne was her maiden name, but cannot remember who PT is. Nevertheless, it proves that she had been there before. Now, Mark Snell, the mansion's owner, arrives and recognizes Philip in each other. Confused about his presence, Mark decides to leave. Then he mistakenly calls Sheila Mrs. Tierney before quickly correcting himself. Sheila now understands the initials of the tree PT is Philip Tierney, her husband's real name. She asks Philip about her name and why he lied about the nightmare house. He admits everything and tells her that 2 years ago she had spent in a Swiss sanatorium were not due to TB as she thought, but because at age 7 she had a nervous breakdown. The only way Sheila will be cured is to discover why she blanked out her memories. But to do so, she will have to go into the attic, the room that terrifies her. She will not go, so Philip stomps off in anger. Now, Jonah tells Sheila that at midnight, on the same day 17 years earlier, Matthew Tierney, Philip's grandfather, killed his son Lawrence and Samuel in the attic with an axe. He then died. Samuel was Philip's father, and Philip was the last of the Tierneys. Mark convinces Sheila that Philip is trying to drive her mad. He says that he and Jonah will stand guard outside the bedroom. After being jolted awake by footsteps and screaming, she opens the door and sees Jonah fall from the stairs to his death. Philip declares that Mark killed Jonah. Now, Philip starts their car, which he himself had disabled, and tells Mark to head for the police station as he's unfamiliar with the local roads. Mark leaves and Sheila locks herself in the bedroom. Philip then bursts in and taunts Sheila to shoot him to no avail. She loves him but believes he's becoming insane and asks to let her help him. He agrees, but only if she does whatever he says. He drags her to the attic, where she finally remembers witnessing the murders as a child. To recover memory, Curry cures her on the spot. Sheila also suddenly knows that Jonah was the one who killed the Tierneys, insanely jealous of their wealth and wanting it all for his son Mark. In the attic, Mark attacks Philip with an axe. As they fight, Philip throws him onto the axe pick end, impaling him on the point. Now, while leaving the mansion, Philip summarized the situation for Sheila. A guild-running Jonah paid for her to go to Switzerland after murders. Mark killed Jonah before he could confess, and they eventually walk out the door, and Sheila says of the mansion, it is truly haunted. Now, directed by Harold Daniels, with screenplay by Robert Dennis, produced by William Edwards, cinematography by Frederick West, music by Daryl Calker, and a Hauco International Pictures release, came out November 58, 85 minutes. See, this movie worked in a lot of ways and didn't, because there was always rumors, and our good follower of the channel, John Walker, was said there was some government interference to take out the subliminal messages. Now, Life magazine, in a March 31st, 58 issue, ran an article on the use of subliminals in movies. The article says that My World Dies Screaming, which was the original title, was not shot as a subliminal perception film per se. Rather, producer Edwards met the developers of their pre-con process, liked the idea, and had them dub in the subliminal images after the film had been completed. The film also uses a prologue and epilogue as a framing device. Only 2 films were made using Psychorama. The second, A Date with Death, a modern-day crime drama filmed in Roswell, New Mexico, was released in 1959, less than a year after My World Dies Screaming. It too was from Howco Productions, produced by Edwards, directed by Daniels, and starred Moore. Exactly what subliminal message was used in the film is apparently unknown. In the print the AFI viewed, no incident words or images were detected, either at normal or slow speed. But in certain parts of the film, white dots flash momentarily on the screen, indicating the likely places where the subliminal messages originally appeared, but were taken out. Now, after this movie is completed, Edward did a presentation of Psychorama to a film trade group, the FCC, and the National Association of Broadcasters, to whom he showed clips from 2 versions of the film. One version contained the subliminal messages, and the other the exaggerated superliminal symbols, which are visible to the naked eye and found in film video as exists today. As the use of Psychorama in movies, the motion picture and Herald favorably noted in his November 8, 58 issue that exploitation-wise, the undertaking has distinct showmanship possibilities. Now, afraid of the supposed power of subliminals, the NAB amended its television code to prohibit TV stations for using subliminal projection in the advertisements they broadcast. Breaking the prohibition meant that the station might lose its seal of good practice, which is basically their license. The 3 main TV networks at the time, ABC, CBS, and NBC, followed suit, banning the use of subliminals in advertising shown on their stations. However, no action was taken by any U.S. government agency or by Congress, so that to present day there is no law in the U.S. dealing with the issue of subliminally presented material. In the UK, though, the use of this type of imaging as a persuasive technique was banned from 62 onward because of the effect of this mental imprint on young children's minds. Now, Terror in a Haunted House, My World Dies Screaming, was distributed to theaters in the U.S. by Howco and the U.K. by Eros Films. As Terror in a Haunted House, the film was syndicated to TV stations in February 1962 as part of the Allied Artists Sci-Fi for the 60s package of 22 films. Now, it was theatrical release, the double bill with Lost Lonely Vicious in 1958. However, according to FAFI, it did not have its original premiere until 1961 in LA, by which it had already been retitled Terror in a Haunted House. The movie also played on American National Pictures double bill in May 1961 with Hammer, which included the 2 faces of Dr. Jekyll. Now, a X certificate was issued by the BBFC on February 16, 1959, which prevented it from being shown in the UK to theater audience members under age 16. Now, My World Dies Screaming only made it onto a British circuits in late 1961, playing second feature of the King Brothers monster movie, Go Girl. The Ryan released it on DVD in 2001, but of course, the DVD's box, according to critic Clive Davis, claims erroneously that the film was banned by the U.S. government. Again, that's a matter of conjecture. Reviews of the movies appear to be scarce, and of those, some are quite short and rather negative. Now, the film is most notable, again, for popularizing the notion that certain films contain subliminal images, which continues to rise from time to time, with recent allegations, for example, sexual images inserted into Disney's animated children's films, and terrifying images of corpse embedded in the Swedish-American film Midsommar. The film was sampled as well by the rock band Evanescence in the song Understanding from the Evanescence EP and Origin on the demo CD Origin. Now, subliminal visuals were really popular with the re-release of The Exorcist, because he showed like the demon thing. But I saw this movie, and I'm not saying I was scared. I was just waiting for something to happen. It's your typical 2.5-star Hammer horror movie. It has its places, but what it could have been a lot better. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's our latest John Walco request for the Hammer movie Horror Movie Archive. If you like what you're doing here, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Bye.